This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Ladder, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the June 16th edition of One Nation Radio here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. My name is Rich Latta. Of course, I'm here with my co-host James Boyd. James, what's going on, man?
Not too much. I'm kind of concerned on the shockingly, or I don't know how to speak right now either. But yeah, I'm really shocked at the very little amount of WWE that's on this run sheet from what I saw. So, yeah, wow. That's where we are. That's where we are now.
I was not playing. I have not watched peep of WWE main roster in 2 weeks. I wanted to watch the 205 live match. I just didn't get around to it. I don't believe I watched NXT last week. James, did you watch NXT last week?
No. Yes, James. Yes, no. Yes, the person that does the NXT show did not watch NXT at all last week. I don't know what's going on, but it's more you know what, this main roster thing, and I never really thought about it until you brought it me off air. I want to say a few weeks ago. It was probably before Takeover, and you were like, I don't know, man. I think it was probably because that's right when they started 50-50ing Ricochet. Uh-huh. And then they're Aleister Black is nowhere to be fucking found, and Kabuki Warriors we ain't seen in a month.
Yep.
But I think what had happening was you had said yeah, man, I don't know, man. NXT just it's still great and all, but you just know that this is really this is the pinnacle of their careers, being in developmental, creatively. And you mentioned yeah, man, once they go up there, it doesn't matter who you are, how can't miss you are, how much of a sleeper or how much potential you may have, it doesn't matter, you're going to get screwed up on the main roster. And I kind of, it was almost when you start mentioning me the first time about every single time you click on a video on YouTube there's an advertisement, and now I can't it's always there in my head. Well, now that you mention this, I was after Johnny lost, I was okay, so he's gonna get moved up to the main roster, and then what? And then I'm all right, okay, I'm not even gonna watch it, but I'm gonna hear about it, and it's gonna be something embarrassing. And he's not even up; he's probably still in NXT. But I just was this week I was I just don't have it right now to go watch NXT this week. I just didn't.
Damn.
I need to go back and watch it, but it's just even that it's the main roster has somehow affected me wanting to watch NXT, which is crazy because NXT is always great.
Yeah.
Or usually always great.
The main roster has injected it with a lethal dose of poison. So, yeah, I'm just, myself, I've been, watching a lot of other stuff. I've been very consumed by the sports of late. Just got over watching the light skin civil war between Drake and Steph, and all we was missing was Chris Brown. Rap, ball, and singing. Us.
Oh,
but and of course,
the light skin.
Yep. Clay was out
The
there.
floor is yours. Go ahead.
Clay was out there, and then all of a sudden there's a new dude named Fred VanVleet on the scene that was cooking Steph Curry in Game 6. Somehow I don't understand, but the Toronto Raptors won the title when we were watching that and everything like that, and then and then Anthony Davis is now a Los Angeles Laker. So it's been a busy weekend. But yeah, man, we got a lot to get to today. James, I just wanted to ask you like a personal question. And
what's that? Should we be handling this on air?
What's up?
Should we be handling this on air?
Yes, because this just tells me like, okay. and this is a question for the audience as well. And it's like, I think there are two types of people in this world right now. Yes or no? Do you follow O.J. Simpson on Twitter?
Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! No, I do not follow O.J. Simpson on Twitter. No. Oh my god! I thought. Wow. I thought this was serious shit you even bring up.
It is.
This man wants to talk about O.J. Simpson on Twitter in 2019.
Well, I do follow O.J. Simpson on Twitter. I will not miss.
Are you serious?
I will not miss a thing that gets put out. I might turn the notifications on. James is blown right now. I've disappointed James. This is unbelievable. He's speechless, everybody. So what'd you make of the OJ videos that dropped over this weekend? He said he's getting even, so much in the spirit of wrestling in WWE, like OJ's trying to get some 50-50 booking popped off apparently. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. What do he mean by getting even, James?
I don't know, man. I guess he feels like there's been a lot of mud thrown on his name over the last, 20 some odd year, 25 years. So I don't know. I guess he decided he's going to try it out and try to, right these injustices. He's going to take time off from finding the killer, or along the way towards finding the killer to right some of these injustices that have been labeled against him. He's been labeled as so many terrible things that apparently he must stick up for himself, and I wish him the best of luck against Twitter.
I think the only thing he got to do is try to find ways to make friends with the FDS. They'll defend anybody. So, yeah, man. But OJ out here.
What I'll say is this: clearly, he's doing this for clout.
Oh yes, it's not falling like on deaf ears that this is around the 25-year anniversary of this shit.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you see the vision?
I don't know, man. Like, do I see the vision?
Yes. Like there's going to be I know that they had the docuseries a couple years ago. They had the ESPN thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I think OJ is going to do something himself,
which is probably the best sports. No, well, I wish him the best of luck with that, but and I mean that sarcastically or facetiously, but
maybe he's putting out a documentary about the real killers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, he got to do what he got to do to survive now that he's out, but I don't know, man. I don't know. This whole thing, this whole operation seems bogus. So, I mean,
yeah. And shout out
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like,
and shout out.
We move on. I'm wrong because of OJ Simpson.
Yeah, and shout out to all the dummies that got fooled by the fake OJ accounts too. So, because they are out there.
Oh, so me.
You didn't get fooled by the fake OJ account, did you?
I got fooled by the fake. Okay, so I saw the real video.
Yep.
From the real OJ thing, right? And then I was like, let me look at his page, because like, what else could he possibly have on this thing? If he wants to do a video, announce to the world that like I'm taking my Twitter account public, then like he's liable to have done some other ridiculous thing. So I went to his page. I ended up clicking on the wrong account, and like I saw one where like the fake OJ is like talking to Conrad and Ric Flair. And I'm like, wait a second, OJ Simpson has a relationship with Ric Flair. What the fuck is going on? So then like all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, this can't be right. There's got to be something wrong with this. So then I actually like the video. I went back to the source where I saw the video because I got it in the DM. I think you may have sent this to me. You freaking I don't even know what to call you, but. So then I clicked on it. It was like, oh, okay, like there's a hyphen difference. So I was like, okay, or there's an underscore difference. So like, all right, that's not it. So like, I was out here spreading fake news. A few people, I was like, yo, this is ridiculous. This man's out here. Like, what? Like, look, I'm not saying that Ric Flair should not have a relationship with OJ Simpson. I would just suggest that like if they do have one, then like for the sake of Ric Flair, like maybe like keep that on the tuck. Like you can't be out here rapping on the streets of 2019 with OJ Simpson. Like ain't nothing but bad news coming out of that one.
I feel like OJ and Rick may have crossed paths in the 80s. If you feel what I mean, you know.
I'm sure they did. No, I'm absolutely sure. I'm absolutely sure they did, because you know, like. Those are both two guys that are absolute gimmicks. They absolutely love being around famous people to show how famous they are and how special they are, right? But after June 17, 1994, I think we're kind of past that. Like after the Bronco chase, we're kind of past that.
So, happy 25 years tomorrow. Maybe when most of you guys hear this, but yeah. So, James and I have retired from watching Raw and SmackDown. So, how have you spent your life?
Oh God. Okay.
And what you
I
hearing?
have not officially retired.
And what you hearing on the street?
I'm getting this where I'm getting at.
Okay.
I haven't retired officially like you have. I just have taken a step back and said, look, I need a break. And I'll come back when I come back. If I come back, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not putting any labels on or whatever else. It's just like, and my whole thing is like, I'm still going to watch pay-per-views. But as far as the week-to-week TV with the wild card and with Shane and with just so much overexposure of the top talent and like with them, pushing Corbin right now in the main and the top title on Raw. I'm kind of good on that, and like Roman doing job for Shane fucking McMahon. Like, no, I'm good. No, thank you. I'm good right now.
Yeah, I've found plenty to do with my Monday and Tuesday nights. Making a lot of beats, doing some guest podcast spots like over on Keeping It Strong Style. It's just been this weight that's been lifted off of watching this stuff and writing down this nonsensical foolishness that Vince McMahon is pulling from out of his drawers. And I just have enjoyed the wrestling I have watched that much more. New Japan.
Yeah, so for me, yeah. So last week I watched Dominion. Yeah, we did a review show last week about Dominion, and almost entirely about that. And then, we kind of had a boom, boom, boom of like from AEW to from Double or Nothing to Takeover to to Dominion, and then like today we had the Corrigan Hall show from Stardom, and they put up the main event from that, which is a damn monster of a match. So like almost every week there's something new to talk about, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about WWE, but like when WWE does pay-per-view, whatever else, we'll review that just like we always do. It's not like we're out of touch with the product, like we listen to a million review shows like everybody else does. So yeah. Like just like it's funny because people used to talk about it's like nobody was like, oh, people were sad to see us go, but it was more or less like, damn, now I have one less place that listens to the show and talks about the show. So now, like, there's less of a resource because I don't actually watch the show.
Yeah,
myself. Yep. Like people want
I felt like people were feeling bad for us.
Raw and SmackDown, but right, yeah, people want to keep track of Raw and SmackDown, but they don't actually want to watch Raw or SmackDown, which is like, all right, well, so now we're in that group almost seemingly.
Yeah, I felt like
it's funny because like.
I feel like people were sending us sympathy, like, yeah, man, it sounded like it broke y'all, and you damn right, like, I ain't trying to watch that shit. But yeah, man, I just want to go over that real quick. But today we got the announcement of all the participants and blocks, in the blocks of the G1, the A block and the B block, of course, and. It was just, it's a very interesting lineup, so I guess we can go through it here. Starting in the A block, we have Sonata, we have Bad Luck Fale, we got Kazuchika Okada, we got Zack Sabre Jr., Lance Archer, Will Ospreay, Kenta, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, and Evil. Over in the B block, we've got Tetsuya Naito, we've got Tomohiro Ishii, we've got Jay White, Jeff Cobb, Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, Haruki Goto, Taichi, Shingo Takagi, and Jon Moxley. This lineup jumps off the page. It seems like the blocks feel a lot more even this year than they have like last year, especially. Just, like we knew B block was on some 27 Yankee shit, and I think I know you've looked at the A block like this is just like crazy, but like the B block has just like I think there's gems all over that thing. So what did you make of this?
Yes, I think that the A block is clearly more talented, but the thing is like they could always decide not to do foolishness with Taichi, and then like he actually wrestles legitimately throughout the whole thing, and then like it's kind of even after that. But like Toru Yano is Toru Yano. So like you got that nonsense in there. Juice, he's hit or miss at times. Like Moxley, I mean he's been great since he's like left WWE. But like I'm sure he's gonna have a few, a couple matches in there that just like it is not really working or whatever else. But Ishii's in the thing, Shingo's in there. In the B block, and I think those two are the anchors should be the anchors for this for that block. I mean, also Naito, depending on how well his neck is. So, three solid dudes that hold that whole block up, and so it's not like it's gonna be way. I feel like it's gonna be way better than A block was last year, or not way better, but better than A block was last year. But like I still think that there's still an imbalance of. One block's going to be clearly better than the other.
If there was a trade you could make from A block to B block, what would it be? Do you have the list? I can go ahead and send it.
I'm pulling it up right now. Like, I already know where it is. You sent it to me before. For me, it was like I was kind of surprised to see. Honestly, I was surprised to see Ibushi in. I would probably swap Ibushi and Naito. Because for me, it's like all right, we've seen Ibushi and Naito to death, and literally to death because they tried to kill each other. And then for me, for months now, in my head, I always had it. This was nobody's fault but my own. But in my own head, like I thought that like. It was a shoo-in that the main event for Wrestle Kingdom 14 was going to be Ibushi versus Okada. And they're in the same block.
Yeah.
Like, they have to wrestle each other. So for me, that was kind of surprising.
I know one man that is not in that block.
Like, if you want to swap them...
I was going to say one man that is not in that block. Tomohiro Ishii, the Tokyo Dome main event is still alive for my dog. So I'm hoping he goes through and cleans these fuck niggas in the B block up. Jay White, catch a clothesline. Hiroki Goto, catch a brain buster. Jon Moxley, come get the real. So that should be really interesting. But the A block you just look over, it's just all over. Like Will Ospreay is about to, like, he's in the best block in the G1. it looks like he's going to be the wrestler of the year this year, and all these matches should help him. We get to see him against Tanahashi, which in my mind would be a Wrestle Kingdom match, but they're going to do it now. I don't know who he ends up against, but Evil and Sonata having a match is really interesting, I think. You know, I think they're going to headline the A block on night 1 in Dallas with Okada and Tanahashi. If you were booking
I mean, that would make sense.
Because that's not a drawing match anymore. It's not really a drawing match anymore in Japan the way it was, and in America,
right?
I think people still want to see that, and then I guess Okada and Ibushi is your block final. I would imagine.
Yeah, I agree on both ends. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking over it, and I never really considered. I just saw, Ospreay's there, and I'm like, okay. But we were considering like him versus Sanada is going to be incredible. Him versus Kenta, if Kenta has anything left, is going to be incredible. Him versus Tanahashi is going to be incredible. Him versus Ibushi has been incredible before, and we still think that they could achieve even more. Him versus Sabre could be like the great styles clash of trying to keep him grounded, but he's not just the aerial assassin anymore, and also like he could beat the living hell out of Sabre anytime he wanted to, if he wanted to shoot. But I'm not serious. I'm just saying. And then you also have, of course, the Okada thing, and then Evil, and Evil can be great whenever he wants to be. So like that's definitely like, why do I feel like Evil is like tag team Goto?
I don't know.
Am I just wrong on that?
I mean, did you watch his match with Ishii at what event was that? That was Dontaku. I think that's the best Evil match I've ever
Wasn't it on the
seen.
way to New Japan? That was Dontaku?
It was after the New Japan Cup.
Okay. No. Okay.
And
but the thing for me is, I think I may have seen it, but the thing for me is that I see he clearly can be great and produce at that high level at times, but like, will he ever be able to get his gimmick or whatever aesthetic he's trying to get over, like to the masses in a way that where there's a groundswell of support locally for him, besides just an appreciation of how talented he is? And like Goto is exactly like, yeah, like he's one of the most talented wrestlers in the world, but like he's not really inspiring in that sort of way. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't know. I'm looking at
like that's all I really made as far as that goes.
I would like to see Kenta put his whole foot through Zack Sabre Jr.'s chest. I'm intrigued by a Kenta Tanahashi match. I think Archer and Tanahashi might be really good because Tanahashi can figure out how to make big guys look like they are killers, and Tanahashi is all broke up right now, so he already has all the sympathy. Ibushi and Ospreay are going to be on a race for the best block, and I think like this is going to be kind of like how last year it was Ibushi, Ishii, and then Kenny on the top of the block, like quality wise.
Right.
It's going to be hell in the A block, like with those two on top, and then depends on if Okada wants to be like, I'm about to make a statement here. I don't want people to forget about me here. And then in the B block, I think, the Jon Moxley Jay White match can be very interesting. Jon Moxley is a babyface, it seems like, in New Japan, and crowds are loving him and going nuts for him all over the world. And to go in there with that smug prick, it's like you want to see Jon Moxley, the toughest guy in the world, kick this little sucker's ass. Like, it's just like, this feels like a movie. Like, like this dude's been doing all this bullshit, and then he's finally gonna have to fight somebody that's rugged, crazy, and wild. Trying to think what else. Goto and Ishii, they had a great match last year. That was 5 stars. They had.
Yeah.
What about that Yano Taichi match?
Oh my god. I mean, that could be. I mean, would that be the odds-on favorite to be like worst match of the if you had to put on betting odds, like worst match of the entire G1? Wouldn't that be the one you bet on?
Maybe you look at Archer Fale. maybe.
Yeah, Archer Fale could be like the worst worked match, but as far as like, oh yeah, these two are like one out there with no. I mean, like they might be able to outdo that just based off of like, oh, they'll do comedy stuff. So yeah, like so they would be top two.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I really want to see Jeff Cobb like in this space, like mixing up with all these people. Like I think, given the year he's had, like he can go out there and showcase himself and do so well against all these people. Like, you know, him and Ishii is going to be a banger. You know, him and Naito is going to be great. Like him and Jay White could be great. Him and Masa could be great. Him and Shingo is going to be great. Him and Goto is. I'd be shocked if that wasn't great. So there's so much stuff he can provide. Like if he's on and if he can keep himself relatively healthy, and that's kind of the thing when it comes to the G1. Like, can these people stay generally healthy while they're out there trying to, you know, top each other every single night?
Yeah, and I think, you know, the Yano match will come in handy around night 7 when it's a slog and people are just trying to get through watching these cards, and then that 5-minute Toru Yano match will just be a great help. Like that's why I don't mind him in the G1.
Hey man, why are we treating Yano like? Why are we treating Yano like you just mentioned? Like, yeah, hopefully you get that in like, you know, the 7th date. Like you treat that as almost like if you get that late bye week in NFL season. Yeah, like hopefully like your team is a contender and you get the bye week in like week 8 or some shit. Like you get out there in October, like that's a perfect time to get the bye week. Like nah, man. Like, or I'm sorry, late September. It's just you know my whole thing is, if you feel the need where you need to put people in the G1 so they can have easy matches, then like either spread the thing out or do less matches. Like I think that would do wonders for the health of the wrestlers. Like it doesn't have to be a complete grind to kill somebody. Like especially, I mean, I don't know if it's a situation where like because of just tradition or if it's just because of like that's the only time of the year they can get the dates for the venues or what, but like,
no, it's a money grab.
Even though this is the best time of the year, every single year, as a wrestling fan, that you know it takes a worldwide approach to pro wrestling. It could somehow still even be better if if they took more time between these matches or between these shows or whatever else. Like, you don't have to go like you don't have to make it a night after night type of thing or almost every other night. Like you don't have to fit this all in 1 month. You could stretch this out to 6 weeks or even 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much that's going to wrap it up for the G1. Like I'm sure we'll have like official predictions and all that whenever the dates drop for the main event. I'm sure Keeping It Strong Style will be running a G1 Pick'em contest. I'm thinking about doing a legitimate bracket rather than a gimmick bracket, but we will see how that goes. I may drop a video preview, like a bracketology type thing, going through every single match of the G1, who I believe is going to win. Yeah, man. And after that, there was a story. John Cena was asked about the Undertaker and Goldberg match. Essentially, he basically said it's not really his place to, talk about, other people's careers. But he said at 42, he's considering retirement himself. Now, Cena has not been around, as a regular for a really long time at this point. And I don't know, man. Is there still money on the table for him somewhere? Like, would it shock you if he was done? Because he just got added to Fast and the Furious. Like, if you're at AEW, right? Say John Cena's contract expires. Don't you have to make a call to him?
Just to
make him say no.
To do what exactly? Yeah, well, sure, they can make a call, but I guess my point is, what would their fan base really legitimately want out of John Cena at this stage? Like, I guess they could do a Cena Omega match. Sure, that would do numbers, but like, what else is there that people would actually really clamor for? Like, do you want to see him versus Adam Page? Like, Do you want to see him versus Jericho? Because I'm sure you can go to network and watch it like a dozen times.
I think Kenny and Cena's the match, and then maybe like he does a team up with the Young Bucks or something like that.
Good team up with the Young.
I will literally team anybody up in a 6-man unit with the Young Bucks. I will team up Goldberg and the Bucks. Like, I'll team up anybody with the Young Bucks.
No, my point is, no, I'm laughing at that because, like, do you know how preposterous that would have sounded like 24 months ago?
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
That sounds complete. Like if we go back to like, you know, literally WrestleMania, after WrestleMania 33, like he proposes to Nikki, right? That's more than 24 months ago. My point still stands, right? We go to that point after he tries to go for his Macho Man moment and he halfway sticks the landing. And you say, yeah, man, so like what's next? You know, and be like, and he goes like, let's say he goes to fortune teller and say, yeah, man, what's next? And the fortune teller tells him, you know, in about 2-3 years or so, like you will be not in WWE and you will be wrestling matches and main events on pay-per-view against tagging with the Young Bucks. And you know that man would say he pulled like the TI on the stomp on Young Bucks stomp. He was like, man, that's ludicrous. Like wait a second, what? First off, I don't even know who the Young Bucks are. Like, are they any good? For all we know, John Cena, he may or may not be watching the Young Bucks. Who knows? But besides that point, it's like, wait a second. Like, the dudes in Ring of Honor and, like, also, like, do tours in New Japan? I'm tagging with them. Okay. I don't believe it, but, you know, it's one of those things where, like, if he actually can see the future, right? Like that might change the course of everything. It'd be like it's so preposterous that like it couldn't happen. So like he hears that and like nah, going that just a divergent path to avoid it. Like, but anyway, like to be for real, I mean, I don't know, like what's next for him as far as WWE is concerned.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't really know what else. I mean, he's done it all, right? Like.
He's done everything except like a real retirement match.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, maybe he has that saved in his back pocket for one final WrestleMania main event because I believe there really is money in a final goodbye, right? Which is why like Triple H is much like Paul Pierce and he's out here chasing that retirement tour. You're like, you ain't got love like that, bro.
Yes. And I think Cena does have the love now.
But John Cena, yes, he has the appreciation of like that dude was, especially now.
Oh yeah,
knowing like what this company has turned into. Like for that dude to, like now all this stuff is John Cena burying the Nexus or whatever. A lot of that stuff is like for a dude that got handed so much crap to go out there and say he handled himself about as well as anyone could have for that long. And he, you know. You can talk about how shitty his drop kicks are and the backpack stunner getting worse week after week during that US title run, and you know the Hurricane Rana is a fucking joke and how shitty of a technical wrestler he was. But you can't say that dude didn't bust his ass. You can't say that dude didn't have some of the greatest matches in WWE history. You can't say that like that dude didn't like try his damnedest to try to please people with the time he was given and the opportunity he was given. So I mean. You know, I've never been a person that loved John Cena, but like I've been someone that's definitely appreciated him over the last 5 years, and especially since the stuff outside of wrestling. He's so good at the stuff outside of actually in the ring that like even the fact that he wasn't like even the fact that he was a complete oaf as far as coordination, like. It completely, for me, like at this point, like is made up for that stuff that he lacked. So, I mean,
I'm trying to think who would retire him.
You can. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it have to be somebody you would assume be new, but like, what are we gonna do? Wait 2 more what are we gonna do? Wait 2 more years so I did get to develop out of like coming up from the main roster, being there for 2 years, and then people like they start finally push you after 2 years on the main roster. Like, nah. So that's a good question. I mean, I'm assuming it would just be Roman, and but that would be a terrible idea because like we're just now getting to a point where like people don't want to boo Roman, and now you want to do that again, even though like it would be funny. Is like this is a guy they used to boo. And now they don't want to boo him, and now they're going to boo this guy that we got to stop booing because he was getting booed before, but like he's a 2-time cancer survivor. It's just a complete like weird thing. So I wouldn't put those two together either. I mean, they tried it before, and like they both got crapped on. Like all the stuff they did with Roman in late 2017 and 18 was like, yeah, we'll have him out there with Cena, and then like we'll try to get. One of them, get cheered. Neither one got cheered. Oh, we'll give Brock Lesnar some. He doesn't really care about the business heat to try to get him to cheer Brock. Now, I'll just shit on both of them. So I was like, it's a very highly adaptive system on booing Roman Reigns, and like the one thing that happened to where like they trumped it was just sheer unluck. A bad luck of Roman had cancer. So
bro, and even that ain't safe, bro.
But it feels like
that ain't safe.
I'm saying like it feels like it's a matter of time before Vince vinces it up, and then like they're right back to booing him again. And we'll be like, wow, like they're booing a cancer survivor. Like Vince McMahon is so bad with pushing stars that he got a cancer survivor booed.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the guys that could possibly retire him, and I've only 2 people really come to mind like immediately, and it would be either Daniel Bryan or Randy Orton.
I thought you were gonna say the Miz. I would love to see the Miz retire that man.
Daniel Bryan to give him a great match, and Randy Orton's got the history with him, and he's beaten John Cena in big matches before, but it never quite felt like the big win or whatever. And I don't know if you do a Brock in that situation, because I think that's just horrible if they have Lesnar retire Cena. But who would you guys like to see retire John Cena? Let me know.
Watch it be Triple H.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I gotta get more heat for myself, so that eventually, like, when I put over somebody for the final time, it'll mean something. Like how he had to beat Sting at WrestleMania 31, so that he can go out there and get whooped again later in the night, as opposed to like just getting whooped your ass kicked twice in one night, like as if that's never happened before. It's like as if we didn't see like Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, win that match, ultimately get booed, turn heel, like is the lesser person part of the story, and then come out later in the night and get his ass chokeslammed by Sid and powerbombed. Like, you can be a double loser in one night. It's okay.
Yeah, the game, all that. I don't believe we went over the star ratings from goddamn WWE Super Showdown. Randy Orton and Triple H apparently went 25 minutes for 2 whole stars. Are you fucking kidding me? Or 2.25, I believe it was. When Triple H needs to stop this. He has to stop. This is too much. It's gone too far. This man's been in every Saudi Arabia show. He did it at WrestleMania. Who is telling him that he's still the man to be doing this? Like what is it when he walks back through the stage, all right, back through the curtain, and then he sees like the next like people like how are they looking at him? Be like the wrestlers that really know. They be like, yeah, man, you ain't got it, bro. Like people were telling. I'm sure it's a bunch of yes manism with everyone else. Oh, that was such a great story. You made everything in there count. Everything meant something. That bullshit they like to say when they don't do shit in matches. But
I think that a lot of that comes from I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but I'll get it back. But yeah, we were just talking about like what he gets that from, and I mean, mostly it's ego, but I don't know, man. Like, I think the thing is, he's down there in NXT. He's constantly on the road. He's been doing like these production meetings for almost decades at this point. No, actually, decades now at this point. And I think the thing is like he has so many ideas, and he's a wrestling nerd and pseudo historian, just like the rest of the clique were, and students of the game, and that's why he calls himself the game and all that other yada yada yada. Y'all know, but I think the thing is like you can't turn that off, and even if at an advanced age you feel like I can, I have a mind, and it's just like when any other Asian athlete, like I have aging. I almost love to sound like I said Asian, but any aging athlete, like you feel like your mind has stored so much stuff, and you have so many ideas, and and you've done so much. You've done so much craft, or so you've done so much sharpening of the knife that you feel like my mind can get you through things your body can no longer do, and like it's gonna be hard for you to reach a point where you're like, my body can't do this anymore. You're always gonna feel like your mind can overcome your body, especially when you're a dude that walked off on a torn quad.
Also, especially when you're a dude that looks
through a torn pec.
You're a dude that looks in the mirror and looks like that. Like everything still looks the same. It's like, oh my God, you look the same in the jersey as you have all these years, but you just ain't got it no more. Like we've seen athletes in all sports look like this, and I just wonder, like, if he's gonna be doing these matches, can he do matches with people that can benefit from it? Like, can he wrestle literally anyone he's called up from NXT? Literally anyone. Instead of going out there with The Undertaker, Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista. Like, it's like, bro, that's not how the business is built. That's not a blueprint for success. Wrestling dudes you wrestled like years ago. Yeah. This is not Hulk Hogan, or this is Hulk Hogan. Like this is Hulk Hogan fighting the Ultimate Warrior at Halloween Havoc '98. This is Hulk Hogan calling back Roddy Piper. Like, yeah, let's have a match we didn't do. And it's just diminishing. Yeah,
I mean, it also doesn't help that like you could absolutely do those matches with some of the people that he's helped foster while in developmental or whatever else, but so many of those people
are ruined,
are people that like have are not stars on the main roster. Though it's like, yeah, like you could absolutely do Kevin Owens versus they should have done Kevin Owens and Triple H at one point.
Yes,
but the bloom was off the rose with him, like because they kind of killed off, or because they killed off Kevin Owens since 2017, since after the Jericho thing. So it was like, all right, can't do that. Even though like you did a storyline revolving around him winning him a title, and then you never did anything ever again with it. There's. I mean, they did the Roman thing. They did the Seth thing. They did not do it on a big stage, but they did the Ambrose thing. Sami Zayn, Neville, Balor, Samoa Joe. You remember when Samoa Joe was a heavy? He was a contract hire from Triple H. Right. Remember that? Going into WrestleMania 33.
Never
did anything with that. They just used him for a storyline and moved on. Right. The Braun Strowman thing at Survivor Series, was that 2017?
Yes.
Yeah, like never did anything with that. Never did anything when he also in that match when he did the thing with Shane. Like he did something with the angle thing, which led to Rousey, but they never do anything with these people that he's brought in or whatever else. And remember when he introduced like Ricochet and Aleister Black and DIY, and he saying like, yeah, we're bringing you NXT or people from NXT, and like we haven't seen him say a peep about NXT or these people in their careers or anything about like trying to acclimate them or try to give them like a kickstart on screen. You haven't seen none of that. Like, he showed up at, I think that was like a February.
I can tell you, Ricochet, he sure could have used the win over Triple H.
Say again?
I said Ricochet sure could have used the win over Triple H at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, what I'm really getting at is, like, yeah, they, you know, even if that's something that he would want to do, like, it's ultimately up to the booker to push these people as stars and get them to the space where they can use that to jettison them higher, you know, as far as star level. None of these people ever reach those levels to even say, oh yeah, let's consider Triple H versus so and so at this date, because like that would really be a money match, or this would really be something that could boost this person to become a money player. No, ain't no money players.
Yep.
Like, the only money players are all old money.
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable. But one on the other side of the coin from Triple H, Shawn Michaels has been kind of in the conversations a little bit with Johnny Gargano. And the discourse is beginning, James. No one is safe.
Oh, God.
I've repeated this on the show. No one is safe. Do not marry your memories, because when you put it down on paper, a lot of this stuff going to be arguing with your heart over your heads. And I think the thing that is starting here is going to be a very interesting thing, and it's going to make people, I don't know how, you know, a lot of folks want to downplay what Gargano has done. Well, I won't say that. They'll put it into question simply because they don't know what it means in NXT, like the stuff he's accomplished, the match quality that he's put out, everything like that. I think this is going to be a really interesting thing, and not a LeBron Jordan debate, right? But it's going to be something of like people that are married to their memories against what's actually in front of their face. Now, James, we've had these conversations, you know, in group chats and Discords and different kinds of other various words or Slacks about Gargano and Shawn. What do you make of this thing kind of just organically coming about because people are asking Meltzer about it now?
I don't know, man. It's weird to me because I think that for wrestling, and also for, you know, other sports, like the idea of human capacity for innovation and technology advances and you know, things like that. Like, I find it impossible for stuff that, you know, pseudo athletic / artistic stuff can get worse over a span of 20 years. I feel like, you know, everything kind of has to be better because, like, there's so much manpower and man hours thrown at certain things, right? So
also they have something to learn from.
Right. And they use like the things that people learn and then like advance further and further and further. So like for me, when people talk about, you know, somebody from X generation is versus somebody from Y generation, I tend to move it into a conversation about like more or less like domination or space occupied in that particular era. So like the argument of who's better basketball player between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, like if I get a time machine and I go pull out 1991, 1992 Michael Jordan, and I go and I pull out 2016 or 2013 LeBron James, I believe LeBron James is the better, more skilled, better athlete basketball player, right? But that's not. But I think there's something to be said as far as like what your fit was as far as the era, because like that's a more interesting conversation. Because I think the one as far as like is a thing from 20 years ago like worse than the thing from 20 is the thing from 20 years better than the thing from 20 years ago, and it's not like a, you know, something like Flojo or Flojo in 88 in Seoul. Like I think outside of stuff like, you know, strictly performance based sports, like, you know, you can control for multitudes of things. I think it's kind of silly to think that like anything besides that could actually hold up. So or to talk about like level of competition as far as it being higher. So anyway, when it comes to the I guess the things is said about you know, Johnny Gargano and his matches versus Shawn at his apex or whatever else, I think there's also a discussion to be said about like who had better matches versus who was a better worker, for example.
Yeah.
That I think also hold up. So for me, if you ask me who has better matches, I'm probably going to say Johnny at this stage. Like it's kind of like been this repeatable thing in the last, really, well, he's been what this is for 4 years, right? Because if you want to include the DIY stuff, right? You want to include like the DIY versus the Rockers.
Look, I would say you really want to get people mad. Put that in there,
right? So, like, overwhelming, like Johnny, like the peak Johnny stuff is better than peak Shawn stuff, right? But if you ask me, like, would I say that in a vacuum, you know, as far as all the skills that encompass into being a product for a professional wrestler, or even just the in-ring product aspect, I would probably still go with Shawn or Eddie or Benoit or you know, Angle, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. You know what I'm saying? I still go with that class of people. Because
does it come down to the athleticism for that? Because everybody you mentioned right there is a way better athlete than Gargano.
It's the athleticism. And also it's the thing of the pacing, right? So like, I'm sure that I'm pretty sure because they're better athletes, all the people I mentioned, that if I put them in a time machine and said, I need you to watch wrestling for what like the top wrestlers in the world are doing for like, and give them like a week to go figure it out. Like, I'm sure that like they would immediately adapt and be like fishes in water in this era and probably enjoy what they're doing even more if they're open minded to it. Like, especially someone like Shawn, who was always like a person that was pushing the boundaries of the stuff with like the ridiculous selling, like, you know, not necessarily being a flyer, but taking like flyer type lucha bumps and stuff. So I think that, you know, I feel like from that perspective, like, yeah, I think he could do that. But but I don't have a time machine, so I can only go by, you know, what the output was. And on output, yeah. I mean, and there's conversation to be had about that sort of thing when we talk about like we talk about people like Seth or people in the main roster in WWE, and as far as like when we've seen them at different spots in their careers, at different points in their careers, even in WWE, and like they're better than they were then or now, and how good they actually are right now, and then you account for like, you know, like, yeah, man, like AJ Styles is not putting out consistent bangers like he was in 2016 when he was like based on output, like had the greatest year stretch in big matches that any WWE wrestler's ever had, or 16 to 17, or that 15-month span when his first 15 months in the company. But
that man dropped dead after Shane McMahon.
Yeah, but you're not going to convince me that like he somehow became a lesser wrestler because he has less of those, even though like, you know, on a semi-regular basis, like every other month, as opposed to being every month, he kind of like every other month, every 3 months, he gives you one of those too. Like, so I'm not really there to say that like he's diminished as a wrestler, because the matches are still there in the same quality. It's just they're just less frequent. So for me, it's like there's so much stuff going on that I really can't, you know, I really can't tell you, you know, what's the chicken and what's the egg on that. But But I believe just like because they're better athletes that like they would be able to adapt in the situation. But the output is the output, so I can't really get into that. So just based on output, peak Johnny is better than peak Sean. But there's no knock against peak Sean because peak Sean still like I'm not gonna get no conversation about who's the GOAT. Like I still think it's Sean or for America anyway. For me like it's gonna be real hard for me to ever come up with anyone but Sean as far as in ring, as far as being the quote unquote GOAT. No, I don't give a damn how many more 5-star matches Johnny has.
It's all real interesting. And I think it only gets more complicated when you bring the rest of the world into it. But the main thing that, well, not for me, but I think a lot of this.
Here's one, right? Okay, so let's talk about how like polarizing Dean Ambrose 2016 was, right? For example,
right?
Like WWE in 2016 had its best in-ring main roster had its best in-ring year ever, and then you hear people talk about like Dean Ambrose as far as like what he was at the beginning of that year to like SummerSlam and after that, and you look back at it. And you just look at, I'm just using Meltzer Star Ratings. I've done it before. Like it's just a guideline. It's just a guideline, right? That's all I have to say. It's not an authoritative thing about it. But the only people that on the main roster had more 4-star matches than him in 2016 were AJ, Sami Zayn. I think Kevin Owens may have had more, or he was tied. But like he was in the top 5. Right. So, and then from there, like it got even worse, where people were just like, he wrestles. I mean, he does this like he's wrestling underwater, like he's having a soft style pillow contest at times. People have wondered about his work ethic at times, whether or not he let go of the rope, if he just checked out mentally as far as like the wrestling thing because of what we now know is like just general frustration over 6 years with the company.
Glad that shit over with.
Yeah. So, a lot of people had reservations and concerns, and I still do, quite frankly, with, him outside of WWE trying to become this top star. And then you see his match with Juice Robinson, and it's like, holy shit, like this is the best singles match I've ever seen him have. And I was one of the people that was in the camp of Ambrose is damn good when he wants to be, or when he's put him to be. And so like people are gonna look up like after this G1 and be like, yeah, this is the best Ambrose ever been. It's like, yeah, because that's more or less positioning more than anything else. That's positioning. Like, we always talk about the most improved player in the NBA.
Yeah,
that award about how like really all it comes down to, like when you look at it year over year, is like
who's gonna get more playing time.
Who's somebody who's like under 24 years old who's basically gonna get a huge uptick in minutes?
Right, like Pascal Siakam is probably gonna win it this year.
Right. And I mean, there's been other guys like oh my god, who won it last year? I can't remember, but
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, Oladipo, Drummond, a bunch of people over the years, and what it comes down to is their opportunities changed more than anything else. Like, yeah, I'm sure they all got better, and they absolutely did to an extent. But it's like it's not that like they're 2 times better as opposed to like the things like the road that like the path got clear for them to do this sort of thing. So, I think that's one of the things where for me is like when it comes to WWE and it comes to Horton Talent, it's like you can't tell me that like especially like right now. So when we We'll get to Stardom later in the show, but the best wrestler in the history of that company is Io Shirai. All right. Io Shirai, as recently as last summer, was probably the best female wrestler in the world. As far as in ring, right? Like so good that like she's probably one of the 10 best wrestlers in the world, regardless of gender or whatever else. Maybe top 5, right? Especially if you account for like level of opponents. Like I'm sure that she'd go out there and have 5-star matches with Ishii. I'm sure she could. You look at her when she gets to the Mae Young Classic, She go out there, she has her like 4.5, 4 3/4 star match or whatever. Or sorry, 3-star, 3.5, 3 3/4 star match or whatever else, because like she's wrestling in this WWE style, and she's also not getting to go like 15 minutes as opposed to, but getting like 7 minutes, 9 minutes here and there, or whatever else on the Man Classic. To where Dave Finichel is telling me like, oh, I wasn't really impressed, and I'm like, well, was she given time to be impressive? Like, was she given opponents to be impressive? And like, it's frustrating when like, because you've seen it, but someone doesn't know and they haven't seen it. So like, they almost feel like, so it almost feels like they're not taking your word for it. And it's like, dude, I wouldn't put my name on something like that if I, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's fucking infuriating. Right. And it's like, so that's the thing that risks me. Like, and we'll get to it because like the match we saw, the Arisa and Tam match, like those two went out there and tore the fucking house down, and like those two aren't in Io Shirai's league. Like those are two people that aren't even in like the top of Stardom as far as like quality wrestler. So it's like, don't get it fucked up and think that like WWE is out here like they're there to they are Starbucks, they are McDonald's, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I guess what I'm saying is like when these people start turning into double or quarter pounders of cheese and caramel fraps, like don't be able to like, well, wow, they like, I thought I heard all this good stuff about how tasty this thing was, and how come they're not like as tasty as I was led to believe? It's like, nah, like these things are mass produced right now, so like you can't.
Like you missed the energy. Like it's
yeah.
Yeah,
and then you get the Ambrose thing on the other end where like he's out, and then like within a month of him being out or whatever else, like look at him, like he's fucking flourishing.
It's amazing, man.
You know what I'm saying? And like, and the thing is like, it's not like he never had moments of that in WWE. Like if you're talking about the 2016 thing, it's like he had that moment at the beginning of the year, like that Fastlane match with Triple H. Like I just fucking love that match. That's one of my favorite matches of that year. But somewhere between that and where we are, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even then, he's hotter right now than he ever was.
Yes,
ever.
I agree, absolutely. But what I'm saying, like, is even between, like, he was at a certain level of respectability where, like, you can't like say, I'm not that impressed with him. Like, he was actually a person that like he was checking off all the boxes at that point in time, and then like from that point till really WrestleMania 32 to where we are to where he ends up. To the end of his tenure in WWE, like it just wasn't the same outside of like the tag match with Seth.
But now that's all changed.
Right.
He's not only having great matches, he is selling tickets as well. AEW All Out. Boy, it is lit like Big Mama Stove. Another sellout. 15 minutes. How about it now? Unbelievable. The numbers in the queue, absolutely ridiculous. I was following it along in real time. I want to say at one point there were 68,000 ticket requests in the queue, which is just mind-boggling. And of that 68,000, you got people logging in on multiple devices, but they kind of look at it like every person that's logged in has the ability to buy 4 tickets. So no one has the math on obviously the devices and all that, but how many people really were doing that, I'm not sure. But this is crazy. This is another example of AEW mass, like, just ridiculously overachieving to the expectations that are placed upon them by the non-believers, by the haters, by people that just want these dudes to just go away and fall and fail. And I went through, like, I was going through Twitter the other night just looking at old stuff people posted and just like all these things that I've just seen, and I'm just howling at in laughter just at the wrongness and everything. It's like, at this point, all that's left for them to do is announce that they're actually going to drop their shows on Monday and beat Raw on the ratings.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but what I will say is, well, you said Mondays, not Fridays, but yeah. What I would say is this: do you have any doubt that this wasn't going to sell out? Because I never had any doubt it wasn't going to sell out.
I didn't.
Okay, so the reason why I don't like, you can get into your reason later why you felt that way. But the reason for me is they've already sold out twice. All right.
So it's not beginner's luck, James. Just checking, right?
No, I mean no. So they've sold out twice. If you want to say, or once, however you want to put it, as far as how you feel about All In being considering an AEW property or just an elite property / Ring of Honor property, whatever. But they've done this before, and they put out a show that was highly successful by commercially and critically. Then they're coming back again, and the thing is, like, you look at the fan base and the clientele the people that are buying this stuff, and it's like these are the same people that fly in, and these are people that fly to Japan to go watch Wrestle Kingdom, to go see a block final or the final of a G1, or go to Dominion, or or people that go see the Championship Carnival, or people that'll go fly to WrestleMania every single year, like us weirdos, right? So, like, if you have a hardcore fan base in WWE that's willing to go, fly into, different areas every single year to go to WrestleMania, or go to Access, or with the Belt Mutants, as you call them, or as most people call them, or the festivities around WWE around that weekend, right? Where it's WrestleCon, or it's Rev Pro, or it's whatever else, Stardom last year. If you're one of those people that spends money on the network and that sort of thing, like you are a hardcore fan, or you're someone that watches 5 hours of TV of WWE, you're a hardcore fan, and you're willing to put in money to go watch these products. So, like, AEW is marketing to the hardest of the hardcore. Like, so if there are, how many people have the network? 1 million and
like 1.7.
1.7?
Yeah, I this is a rough estimate.
Okay. So if you go to the hardest of the hardcore, those people, like people that are, PWG fans, Ring of Honor fans, Impact fans, TNA fans, what have you. I'm sorry, Impact, whatever, Caleb, whatever, right? I'm trying to correct myself for Caleb, like, fuck Caleb. Sorry. But if no, he knows I mean that lovingly. Not lovingly. That's not my thing point. So if you have all those people from all those different spaces, and also New Japan fans we mentioned earlier, if you have all those people from that pool, and there's such a large pool, if you get the hardest of the hardcores, like, they're going to give their money towards something that that they feel like they've been rewarded by watching. And they did the first time, so why wouldn't it happen the second time? Like, they made it work the first time, and then they gave them exactly what the people wanted, the first time. So why wouldn't they come back and do it again at a venue, in an area that's easier to do it at?
And the crazy thing about it is that they're selling these tickets when other companies right now are struggling to sell tickets. Ring of Honor, I don't know what's going on with them. They got blue all over their maps. WWE Stomping Grounds struggling to sell out at pay-per-view at that, like, in that respect. But
that's because of, like, obviously the product's cold for WWE, but that's also like y'all put it up in the Tacoma Dome, like, what? How many weeks ago?
I'm not sure how long ago.
Like, they made stuff. Remember, like, they put the date down because of how they were flipping around, because they got messed around with about the Saudi Arabia date, because the Saudi Arabia date was one time, and then, like, they had to adjust it based on Saudi Arabia's schedule. So, like, they put up this pay-per-view on short notice, and then they're doing it in Tacoma as opposed to Seattle. Like, what were you expecting?
I just think it's funny how people went from can they sell 10,000 tickets? Well, that got done. Can they sell out a real major arena? Well, that got done. Can they do it more than once? That got done. Can they get a TV deal? That got done. Can they get a good TV deal? That got done. Can they get a big pay-per-view buy rate? That got done. At some point, give it up. Let it go. whoever hurt you, let it go. Like,
so I also think the thing that helped it, in a way, is like as great as the show was, and all the buzz around it, and like it exceeded the hype. I think what also helped this time around is the fact that like you knew it already sold out before the first time, so the second time comes around, it's a smaller building, so like it's even more exclusive. So like there are gonna be more people coming around. Like I don't know. I'm not one of the people that answer things that like, yo, if they went out to try to sell out Comiskey, they would have sold it out because they might people have been turning off and saying, oh, like, yeah, like I could go, but like I'm gonna be in the outfield. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like, okay, 10,000 seat building, gonna be pretty decent seat anywhere in the house. So like that helps as well. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have, but I'm saying like the exclusivity helps. Like we always talk about like why the fuck is PWG fucking around and on that plate, that little box in Reseda, like why are they doing that? They're like it's part of the thing is like they're able to sell the brand as being so cool because it sells out all the time and it helps. Like, and that's the reason why like after they left, they're now in a bigger venue. It's not that much bigger.
Yeah,
like they're not trying to sell 5,000 seats.
Yeah, and they literally have a picture of themselves on the side of the building on a plaque now. So that's kind of like I made the joke. I was like, "Is Sears Center the AEW MSG?" So,
oh my god.
So, you know, like, and I was talking with Josh about this. I was like, 25 years down the road, like, people gonna be talking about the Sears Center like it's a Mid-South Coliseum or Greensboro, you know, Civic Center or whatever the hell they call it. Like,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, the Omni and shit like that.
Wow.
So, and I think and Floyd actually brought up a great point on All Things Elite, and you know, and he said that he had a conversation with Cody during one of the times he met him recently, and he mentioned that the first AEW TV is either going to be in LA or New York. So to me, that's only two things. Like,
yeah, Staples or MSG.
Yes, and I feel strongly that it needs to be in MSG because those dudes need to go claim the sellout that they didn't get to show up to with New Japan this past April or March, whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean,
how much
but
of an opening statement would that be? You're on TNT, Atlanta wrestling, like like TNT's wrestling in Madison Square Garden, the home of Vince McMahon. I can't think of a better way to start this.
I mean, it's ambitious. I would personally save it for a pay-per-view, but I mean, you might have a point.
Yeah, like, and you know, their presentation is gonna be.
I mean, because you could always tell people on the history of like, yeah, like it's not just MSG. It's also like you can say that you were there for the very first ever AEW show,
right? Whatever they end up calling it and everything like that.
Like if for example, like if we come to August, seeing that WrestleMania is in Tampa this year,
yep,
or coming next year, and like Tokyo for Wrestle Kingdom 14 kind of seems like an unrealistic goal for my budget.
Mm-hmm.
I might be able to try to convince myself into doing something like semi irresponsible, like going up to MSG for the first ever AEW show. I might be able to convince myself into doing something halfway irresponsible like that. Maybe.
Yeah, man, it's really great to see. Just having been a fan of these dudes and seeing the great positive energy that's just all over with AEW, like, and how good they're making people feel right now. If you just like, if you ignore like all the Roman Reigns stan accounts and Poison on the timeline.
Oh my god!
If you ignore that, like, and you look at like people tweeting their stories and how AEW's like having an effect on them and their fandom and everything like that. It's like, it's deep, but it's like wow, okay, like this is kind of cool that, you know, wrestling is making people feel good like this. So, two of the matches that are announced, I think there are high stakes on both of them. And you're talking about like Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho for the title, and Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. Only two matches that were announced. They sold that shit immediately, so it'll be interesting to see whatever.
Do you think it would have sold out without either? Do you think it would have sold out without a card, without anything set out? I think it still would have sold out.
Yes,
even without a card.
Yes.
Yeah. Same here.
But I'm putting that one down for Kenny too, and Jericho as well.
Look, by all means, look, put it down for Moxley too.
Yeah. Hangman too, or not?
I mean, to a lesser extent, but yeah. I mean, like, let's not get it fucked up. Like, he was on the pre-show last pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right? He was out there getting absolutely dunked on by MJF, and then it took him and two other people to shut him up.
Yeah.
Look, he was out there wearing two different denims in different shades. So let's not act.
You want to keep going? All right.
No, I'm done right there. That man came out there with two different types of denim on.
Oh man. So like those matches matter. Like it's going to be interesting. Like I've seen, a couple people think Hangman Page should be the first champion. I disagree. I think Chris Jericho should be the first champion, and he can talk. He can be. He's among the 5 hottest wrestlers in the world right now. He can deliver good enough matches in main event situation. He's been a champion on national television before. He's a draw. He's he's Chris Jericho, goddammit. Like, and I think you're more limited if you start with Hangman Page, and I think Hangman Page is the option 2 years from now. Like whenever Kenny has the championship and eventually turns heel, and Page has been beaten around, and my whole idea of it is eventually Omega tracks Jericho down for the title, and that's like the big like story or whatever. And then he does his run, but something happens, and then Page eventually finds his time and everything else, and everyone else, they kind of get all circled around the main event orbit. But it gets real interesting when you start thinking. I think you're on the same page as me as far as Jericho, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want your first chance to be somebody that's a recognizable name to people that gives you instant credibility. And like, I'm sorry, but let's just make this comparison. Like you tell me who seems more like a Buddy Rogers type figure for the first champion than between those two, between Adam Page and Jericho. Like, I'm sorry, one dude is a legend that is recognizable. The other one is a guy that is up and coming. Like, that is the person that, like, I'm not saying he shouldn't be an eventual champion. I'm saying he should be the first champion.
Yeah, and
because whoever you actually do make the champion, you need to give them all the juice of saying like he vanquished that guy.
Yeah, and Jericho's like still good, so it's not like he's mailing it in. But Omega and Moxley is like a totally different conversation, I think. And this comes from Kenny doing interviews saying he can't lose to that dude from that place. Kenny losing on the last show. And then Moxley being insanely hot right now as we speak on June 16th. But this match isn't happening until August 31st. A lot's happening between then, including the G1, which Jon Moxley could, he could pass or fail in that thing. We don't know how it's going to go. And if the match was happening right now, no doubt I would be putting Moxley over right now, right? Mm-hmm. But say he has a couple of stinkers in the G1s. He's going to do some jobs in the G1 eventually. So is there an argument for Kenny to win that match at All Out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a situation where like I'm good with either one of them winning. I would say that if you ask me what's more problematic, Ambrose losing his first match in AEW or Kenny losing his second match, knowing that like the end game eventually is getting it back to Kenny eventually, or getting the title to Kenny, because he's probably the top star in the company. I'd probably say is probably more of an issue for for Moxley to lose immediately. And also, like, I think that, you know, the idea is the end game is Kenny. Then, like, if Kenny wins a match and, like, the feud's over, and then you move on, or let's say they're not doing it. Let's say they're actually doing like New Japan, where like they wrestle and then like they don't wrestle again for a few months. But if the end game is we're trying to get Kenny on a chase, then like if he beats Moxley, then what? Like, does he just face Jericho like in the next at the third pay-per-view, and then it's like, okay, some chase. It lasted till fucking December. Yeah, so. But I mean, either way, I'm good on either. I don't really have a dog in the fight on who wins or loses that one. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I was actually talking to Josh and Jeremy about this, and I think a lot of the appeal with Kenny doesn't really come down to if he wins or not, and then he's become a god to the AEW fan base essentially in defeat already. Like, we already know what big Kenny Omega losses feel like, you know, losing in the Tokyo Dome twice or whatever. And, you know, you've seen him get his, you know, eventual win over Okada with the IWGP title and things like that. But I think for AEW to be as well-rounded as it possibly can be, like, Kenny's bulletproof right now, so he can do a bunch of jobs to essentially create the main event scene.
I wouldn't say a bunch of jobs. I'd say he could do. I would say that like he can do. You know, he can do some. I wouldn't say a bunch.
Like, among this fan base, he's always going to have this level of cachet. If it takes sacrificing, you know, a couple more jobs for him to build the main event scene to then go back through eventually, I think that's worth it to establish like a top 6 or 8.
Okay. I don't necessarily love it, but I wouldn't necessarily disagree either. Like, I don't think he needs to be losing to 6 motherfuckers or 5 other motherfuckers. I feel like he should be losing to. I feel like he should be at this point right now. I would say the only people that I'd be okay with him losing to would be like probably Moxley and Jericho right now. That's it. Like, but that's just right now. Like. When they do the eventual Cody thing, like depending on where Cody is after he gets done doing the tag thing with his brother and whatever else, like I don't know, man. I think it might be. I think it would be a good time for him or Kenny and Cody to have that'd be a third match, right?
Yeah, third match.
Yeah, like I don't
fourth
think
match. Well, they did a triple threat, but yeah, third.
I'm not counting that triple threat match. I know. Yeah, was that
That was like
was that Destruction?
That was at King of Pro Wrestling.
King of Pro Wrestling. Okay, I don't know why I mixed it with Destruction. So yeah, I feel like once they do that match, the third singles match, and like like Kenny shouldn't be doing no jobs to Cody.
Oh, I definitely agree on that. So
wow,
but
terrible.
Yeah, speaking of Cody, he apparently, you know, they are doing some type of meet and greet at StarCraft 3, and this man. He has his dog Pharaoh, and I don't know all the details of it. Apparently, it's some type of charity event, and the dog is getting a meet and greet. What?
Yeah, man, the dog's over, so people want to meet the dog, and it's donated towards a cause. So I guess they figured like let's just do this, and also like the dog is over, so like it's a cool thing to do. So more power to them. I just know that if I was at whatever else, and if I was at Starcast 3 and it was towards a cause that I believe should have money given, or I should donate money to it, I just send the money like through the online. Like I don't need to see the dog. Like the dog is the dog.
So you wouldn't line up in a line to go meet the dog, James?
No, I'm kind of. I don't, me, like I'm not really in the line to go meet the wrestlers either. So like, no, I'm kind of good. Like I want to watch you wrestle. Like I don't really want anything else other than you. Like, oh, like I see you just on the side or whatever else. Like, oh yeah, like I might, and they're in like there's no line or whatever else. Yeah, I might want to rap with you like or whatever else for a little bit. But outside of that, nah, like I'm good. Maybe unless you're like selling like merch, I don't really want to send a line for you. I'm good.
Yeah, man. White folks love their dogs. That's just.
Oh my god!
I
mean, yeah.
Hey, this is a good way to to build take advantage of that. Yeah. So. If it was me, I don't know. I'm not. Eventually, somebody gonna get heat on the dog, right?
How do you get heat on a dog that doesn't get you kicked off the airwaves?
You steal the dog.
You steal the dog?
You steal the dog. You steal the dog.
Do you know how many white people would kill somebody if they got their dog stolen?
You can get some, let a bitch show up in a Vic jersey, like.
Come on, man. See, you took this somewhere. We were good until you brought it the Vic thing.
Oh,
we were good. Look, man.
Would Chris Jericho get heat on the dog? Yes or no? Do you think Jericho would have an idea of how to get heat from the dog?
Yeah, sure he would because he's Chris Jericho. But like,
would MJF know how to get heat from the dog?
Yeah, he would. He absolutely would.
I'm calling it now. Someone will eventually get heat on the dog. Why? Because people feel sorry for the dog. They love the dog. They cherish the dog.
If they're, I thought you were gonna go from love the dog, cherish the dog. If you had said worship the dog, I might have to turn this podcast off for laughing so hard. Okay, so all right, so I think you save that for like Act 2 of a blood feud or Act 3 of a blood feud. Like the final blow, like the final heat of a blood feud is, bro, this motherfucker stole my dog, bro. Like it's going too far. Like this man came to my house trying to get some smoke. I wasn't there, so instead he stole my dog. When I see him, I'm going to fuck him up.
Oh my god! Get heat on the dog. I can't believe this.
But back to like the actual like. Are they going to be allowed to pet the dog? Because that seems like a bad idea.
Pet the dog. Oh man. I would assume they had to pet the dog.
Because like, are
other people gonna bring their dogs to meet the dog? Like
that makes it even worse. That makes Starcast even like. First off, you got to deal with people
that would make me not want to go.
Look, first off, you got to deal with the people that don't want to shower and brush their teeth right, and then you want to throw in the fact that like you got dogs there too. Not a dog, dogs plural. Nah, man. Like nah. Like I don't like that shit at the mall. I don't like that shit at the grocery store. I don't want that at my wrestling convention either. So, but anyway, my whole thing was ask you about like, all right, like the pet the dog thing sounds like just a bad idea waiting to happen because because when he bites somebody, right, and they're gonna be out here saying I want this dog put down, then all of a sudden the person that wants the dog put down is the bad guy.
Yeah, let a dog bite me. I'll fuck a dog up. I'll fight a dog.
Every time I was in Birmingham at Kirby's and like a dog, somebody's walking the dog without a leash. So then the dog saw me at night and ran up, and I was like, I literally had to get my mind right for like, well, I'm gonna have to fight this dog off.
Ready to scrap.
Like I literally had to pull my pants up. I literally pull my pants up and like ball my fists up, ready for this dog to come so I can fight this dog off.
Oh
and then it stopped probably like 10 feet away, and then turned back. I was like, man, this is that bullshit. Because I've never like. First off, when I was younger, I was terrified of dogs.
I still am.
Dogs. So like the idea of I had to get my mind right to go fend one off. And this wasn't a big dog. This was a medium-sized dog. It's like, man, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's a worse feeling. It's a worse like anxiety feeling of like then like, oh, I'm going to. At least when you know you're about to fight you're going to fight a human. You're like, okay, like simple. Just it's an instant response, opposed to like the bad feeling of okay, it's running, it's barreling towards me. I have to like get right because this thing's gonna be quicker than me, and then I have to like try to like get a hold of this thing and like try to wrestle it down / choke it out or whatever else I have to do, or kick the shit out of it. Like, so I was like, man, this is gonna fucking suck. Like, it's real off. It's like, man, this is gonna suck. It's about to suck.
I swear. Now, I'm trying to think about some of the rules they gotta have in place. Like, now you mentioned petting the dog. Now, I imagine that nobody will be allowed to bring treats for the dog. Because
no, you can't be trusting people.
Yeah,
you can't trust them.
Somebody fuck around and poison the dog.
Poison the dog. Yes, that's what I was getting at.
My God,
bitch, you want to see somebody go out there and get their ass whooped?
Yes,
like you feed the dog something to get sick, they will find you, and when they find you.
Bitch, like I could.
And when they find you, I ain't gonna say God bless you. You're gonna deserve whatever they give you. Whatever they give you, you deserve, and you probably deserve more. You a real sucker. You are poisoning dogs.
I could imagine MJF pulling a big ass Hershey's chocolate bar out and be like, "You hungry, Pharaoh?" Oh my God!
My God!
Yes,
that's fucking terrible.
Yes,
wow.
Like just Bill Watts will find a way to get heat on the dog. I know that. Yeah, man.
You know they really love that dog. That dog got blue eyes too. They love that
dog.
They love that dog. That is like, I mean, that is about as lovable quote unquote of a dog as they can get, as opposed to like a golden retriever.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty much. I think that's the only thing they can be topping Pharaoh as far as that will make them love that dog even more.
I wonder how old Pharaoh is.
Are you about to say like there's a limited track record, there's a limited time span on how far they can be pushing this dog? Is that what you're getting at? Now we're just finding different ways to kill the dog now, huh? That's what we're doing. We're finding different ways to kill the dog. Okay, all right.
Oh my God, people gonna hate me. Oh my God. Oh shit. Yeah. I'm just wondering how long Pharaoh's been around, been on the planet. You know, how much longer is he available for these? You know, to be put in angles or meet and greets and situations like such. But you know, if I was them, I'd be trying to.
Well, I'll put it like this: I seriously doubt that Pharaoh will be at All
In 5.
No, I seriously doubt he'll be at all out 9. I seriously doubt that.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt that.
See, Cody gotta start thinking like a promoter. He gotta start thinking about the next joint. He gotta like get Pharaoh like, you know, a partner and trying to reproduce. Like that's how he gotta flip this over. You know, but we spent far too much time on the dog and everything like that. The last thing that
like the way you just said that, after you talk about like him, like all of a sudden Pharaoh having an offspring, why did it make me think of like Fritz and his kids? Like he's just gonna sit, like, roll them over, make them the stars.
Yep,
like
Fritz, exactly, just like that. And he can even like buy like a fake dog, right? And then say like,
"Oh my God, they their cousins."
This is Pharaoh's cousin. Like, but play like a Pharaoh's kid or whatever. Like,
oh my God.
But people find out about it ain't really related. The whole business will be blown. Like, they had to shut AEW down.
Wait. So now you want Pharaoh just to have a kid that's pops out of nowhere? So basically, what you want to do is like basically like run that game that Drake was gonna run, where he's gonna put your boy Adonis in the that Adidas ad.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Just like it.
Like where is the dog pushing T to say that Pharaoh's a deadbeat? Where is that at?
Yo, somebody has to come up with a rival animal. Like now that they got this, like somebody has to have a black dog with them. Like
a better one. Where are the photos of Pharaoh in blackface?
God damn it!
Where are the photos of Pharaoh in blackface?
Oh my God!
Like when do we get to call Pharaoh a coon?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
No. Is that too hot for TV?
I don't think you can say coon on Turner Network Television, James.
Bro, I'm sorry. Look, that is some real Chappellian shit. If they put a dog in blackface, it's like some shit that would be out of Chappelle's skit in like 2019. Even like we have gone beyond like we have gone beyond the pale. Like that is like some, you know, like the black white supremacist. Like that is beyond like, you know.
Do you think Pharaoh has his own like social media accounts?
If he doesn't, I'm sure he will soon.
Telling you, bro, they done got the dog over out here. Unbelievable. Like AEW creating stars already. Unbelievable. Shout out to Cody and Brandon for doing that. So, speaking of stars, let's talk about Stardom and the latest in Stardom. Hit the music. We had the match you were mentioning earlier, Arisa versus Tam. What were the? I know Tam Nakano and Arisa Hoshiki. Yes.
Yeah.
So take it away, James.
Oh God, here you go. Okay, so I mean, the last time we did a Stardom report, quote unquote, was after the Golden Week, or after the first week of Golden Week. So we saw basically just the main event shows or main event matches from the produced shows.
Yep.
So, but we didn't see the full cards by the point in time they weren't actually uploaded yet. So that was the first month. That was the first week of May. So since then we've gotten to June. So just try to like sum up for people. At the end of April, there was a single elimination tournament called the Cinderella Tournament. The winner ends up getting a dream of whatever they want. It's a 16-woman tournament. The winner gets they get the Cinderella dress. They come out in a ballroom gown, and then they get a wish because they're Cinderella. And generally, the wish is, I want a title shot for whatever singles title I want. So,
question. Mm-hmm. I was watching the Day Show from 6ix9ine the other day, and I felt like I saw a whole bunch of title belts. How many championships does Stardom have?
Okay, let's see. There is the World of Stardom belt, which is the red belt. That's the top title belt. That's the Universal title. There is the white belt, which is the called the Wonder of Stardom belt. It's the white belt. It's an IC championship, just like how the WWE's belt's a white belt. So as far as the rest of the singles belts, there is a high-speed championship belt. People would immediately hear that and think cruiserweight belt, but not really. It's more about it doesn't matter about the size or the weight. It's about the pace of the match. So that's the third one. Depending on the year, sometimes it matters more than it does right now. Right now, we're in the middle of a great title run with Hazuki, so it's relevant now. And they have two people chasing after. They have Starlight Kid and Azumi chasing after it. Naturally, because you've seen them wrestle before. They're wrestling like they're on a freaking sugar rush. So then you have a Future of Stardom title, which is Utami Aya Shishida. She's the champion. She won from Starlight Kid. That belt is basically a junior/young girl belt. Basically, if you are under 18 or you have been in Stardom for less than 2 years or wrestling for less than 2 years since your debut, you are eligible to compete for that title. There is, and that belt's more or less put on ice right now because Utami's dominant as a rookie, or still in the first. She hasn't even had a full calendar year yet, but whatever. There is the SWA International belt. Piper Niven, Piper Niven, and WWE fans. She was the champion. Utami beat her for it months ago. That belt is basically like, all right, that's the Gaijin belt. That's basically like, okay, like you do tours, you come here, whatever else, we make you champion, you go defend our belt wherever you're from, whether it's England or America or whatever have you. Like I'm pretty sure that if Santana Garrett, when she wasn't the Wonder Champion, I'm sure she probably had that belt at one point, right? Back when she was out there with more belts than fucking Ultimate Dragon in 2017, so she probably had one of those belts with hers. That belt's gigantic, by the way. I'm trying to think, what other singles belts are there? I think that's it. So then there is, after that, there are the there are the Goddess of Stardom belts. Those are the tag belts. And then there are the Artist of Stardom belts. Those are the trio belts. So 6-woman matches. I'm pretty sure that's every belt. Yeah. So the thing about the belts is they have too many belts. They flat out. They have too many belts. And I mean, the only way that makes it okay right now, as far as the number of belts, is that like so many of them are on Utami that it doesn't really matter. Like she has 4 belts. Like she's a tag champion, she's the international champion, she's the futures champion. So like, there's one more belt. I'm blanking on what the belt is. Whatever.
Yeah,
but
she's dripping in gold right now.
Yeah, she has 4 belts. So like that kind of, her having 4 belts right now, like kind of like cleared some of that stuff up. So like really the belts people are going after, and also she was on the shelf with these belts at the time because she's been hurt since she got surgery after the New York match against Momo,
and she has made a return.
She's made a return on the 9th of June. Yes, so those belts have been on ice for so long. So like it kind of cleared the path for like there's less confusion. As far as like all these belts and everything else, and made it easier to watch, especially because like you have basically the no tag belts. We have the trio belts that were given, that were won by Tokyo Cyber Squad, the new faction, the 4th faction, created in the aftermath of the Stardom draft. So they pretty much pushed the brand new faction that was always treated like there's always like the 4th faction has always kind of been treated like shit. Mm-hmm. So like they pushed them hard, and their top 3 won the belts of Hana Kimura, Konami, and Jungle Kyona, which is nice to see that Jungle Kyona win something for once. So so they done a good job establishing that faction in the aftermath of the draft, and it becoming new and establishing themselves in the universe. I'm trying to think what else has happened so far. So anyway, the thing that's cool about Stardom for me is seeing like the pushes that happen, and when the pushes happen, they make sense and normally are rewarding. So going back to the beginning of the conversation where we kind of started doing reviews of, or reviewing Stardom as their shows, is that they did the Cinderella tournament, and the Cinderella tournament, the final was Konami, who used to be in the Queen's Quest faction, kind of getting promoted and being like more or less like, she's not the leader of Tokyo Cyber Squad, but she's more or less as like the badass of that group. So if you want to establish yourself by having a great title defense, you go wrestle Konami. If you want to go out there and just have a really good match and prove that you're tough, you go wrestle the submission specialist Konami. And they've elevated her to that space when she wasn't there before, even though she was that good. So you have she got to the final in the Cinderella tournament, ultimately lost to her Arisa Hoshiki. At the time I was like, Arisa Hoshiki, because she's only been back into wrestling for 6 months. I thought that like she looks like a really good athlete that moves really well, but in a great striker. But I don't really buy the wrestling part yet, like the tussling and transitions and selling, especially the selling and psychology of the selling. I wasn't really sold on that.
Selling was great today.
Yeah, today. Then that's the only time I've seen it like that today. So like if you go back to her match, she had a tag match on June 2nd, and it's her and Tam versus Momo and B. You go watch that match and you see like, oh, these 3 are at one level and this one is not at that level. She's okay, good, but not at the level of the other 3. So anyway, like it's real. You know how you sometimes like the Velveteen Dream can get like overly cartoonish with their selling?
Yes.
She tends to she can do that. She has a bad habit of doing that at the wrong times. So not on or earlier this morning or whatever though. But yeah, so I'm gonna lose track. Oh yeah, so the Cinderella tournament before we started off was those two were in the finals. Arisa won. Arisa challenged Momo for their IC title. Momo was in the middle of a absolutely incredible title run. It includes a classic against Io Shirai, one of the best matches, maybe the best match in Stardom last year. It included a match against Jungle Kiona in February, where Jungle basically had the match of her life in her hometown, and it still wasn't good enough to beat her. And that's when I started saying Jungle is the best loser in all of professional wrestling. She's just so incredible. So that match is incredible. You have the match.
She better than Johnny?
Sorry?
She better than Johnny?
At losing?
Yeah.
I believe so. I'm saying, look, Johnny has better matches, but as far as character work of being just totally devastated and I don't know how this person even rolls out of bed after tomorrow, with the misery of losing and because obviously I don't know if this is probably me projecting, but I don't give a damn. So we know what it is with Stardom. Jungle is 28.
No, I thought Jungle was 31.
Tam's 30.
Okay.
Tam's 30. She's 28,
Let me
right?
check, yeah.
Right? So, but anyway, 28 in Stardom years is it's almost like tennis. Where once you turn 30 or 25, 27, you start looking for exit routes out of there. For example, Kairi Sane, she's 31. She left a couple years ago. Io Shirai, she's 20. I think she turned 28 recently. She left. Mayu Iwatani's 26. You see how she's doing all this stuff outside of Stardom now lately. Right. It seems like she's trying to transition out of there or whatever else, or do more things outside of Stardom because it's really meant for the younger women for some reason. So, well, we know the reason. So
yeah,
yeah. Oh my God. So
Ross
anyway,
keeps them young.
Yeah, it's how do I say this? I don't know if it's a situation to where he's just using up bodies, but you look at the roster turnover from year to year on the postcard, whatever. That's this type of conversation. We'll have that conversation later time. So she had this legendary run, Momo. And it ended when at the next Kurikan Hall show. So that was the May Kurikan Hall show. She lost the title to Arisa. The match was probably the fourth best match on the card. It was just shocking because Momo was probably the best Joshi last year in as far as output. So anyway, third or fourth best match. So that's the last point. Arisa seemed like somebody that got a push because she came back to Stardom after being gone for 6 years and came back, and she committed. So now she got the push, and that's whatever. The push is fine. But the thing is, you look at the pecking order of stars, and the pecking order of stars is kind of Mayu's clearly at the top, then you go 50. You start going down to the next tier. The next tier is Saki Kashima, who is another long old money Stardom person that left and came back. A lot of women leave and come back. Arisa, who left and came back, and then Tam, who has been with the company since I think 2017. So the thing with Tam is one of the best workers in the company. Tam, you know what she looks like. That she looks like money. That's the best way I can explain it, right? Right. Oh my God. So she seems like somebody that is destined to be at the top of the card eventually. And obviously because she used to be in Odeotai in 2017, maybe even beginning of 2018 until a stipulation caused her to have to leave. So people have connection to her and want to and know that she's really good and she's great now. She's great now in and you kind of see that she's been chasing after this thing because one of the matches that one of the IC matches that Momo had during that legendary run was against Tam in January, and at the end of that match, she gets the mic and says, "I wanted to prove that like Stars is more than just Mayu Iwatani." And she also said, like, I will never stop coming for this white belt. Like, it's been established. Like, she's been coming at, she's gunning for this thing.
I will never stop going in.
Stupid. So the thing is, like, she's been on this quest towards this white belt, and there's also this backstory where her and Arisa, since she came back, are both they're both in Stars because Mayu more or less brought her out. It's kind of like similar to when just at Dominion, how Shibata brought out Kenta. Like in November, like after a Korakuen Hall show, like Mayu brought out Arisa and was like, oh yeah, she's back. And like she'll be in Stars and you know, whatever else. So like immediately like when they start doing matches and then doing tagging together or whatever else, like Tam didn't fuck with Arisa. I don't know why. It's never really explained, but you see certain things happen where it's like, oh, like she feels slighted by her. She's like, or she's jealous of her, or she's like, she thinks she's too aloof and goofy or whatever else. So that's kind of been building up. So along that whole run from November to Tam's title shot that she lost in January, up to Arisa winning the Cinderella, and like Tam getting knocked out of Cinderella because she went to a draw against, at the time, the red belt champion Kagetsu, and that match is a banger, by the way. That's the best match of turn, in my opinion. So you have that. She couldn't actually get the Cinderella thing. She went to a draw, and then the next big show, Arisa beats the person that beats Momo, the person that Tam can beat for the belt she wanted, and she's been chasing after since January.
No, so, this sounds like oddly. This kind of sounds like the Jordan Devlin and David Starr thing a little bit, like, but like he was gonna beat Walter and then he stopped it, but eventually, like they had a common person they were trying to beat, and eventually they had to fight each other because the other one was pissed about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense. I mean, it's a compelling story. So you go from there where Arisa wins the belt, and I believe it's the main event of the Korakuen Hall show. I'm pretty sure it was. So, because also, just to give you a heads up, that's also the show where they had to switch the card because Triple H called Rossi and said, "Nah, you can't be putting Tony Storm and B in a match together." No. So
Rossi was trying to pull a fast one.
Maybe so.
Double cross.
Yeah.
You know, ring the bell, you know.
Oh my gosh. So,
B Priestley will debut in AEW July 13th, y'all. So
okay. Yeah, I didn't know when the date was. I thought it was coming soon though. So yeah, from there, Arisa beats Momo. And keep in mind, like, Stars all a faction, everything else. So, generally speaking, in the main event of the show, whoever wins the show, they typically either call out, depending on the event, and depending on how big it or how special it is, either they'll bring out their faction, and then they'll close down the show with some type of a ceremonial goodbye or whatever else, or sign off, or they'll bring out the entire roster and do a ceremonial sign off and goodbye. Like in New York, they brought out everybody from all four factions. So they bring out Stars. Mayu and Saki have to literally, like, by the arm drag Tam into the ring to go celebrate because she can't believe that this woman has, like, basically stole her goal, right? So they roll her into the ring, and then, like, Tam, the whole thing with this is, like, Tam is, like, this naive, aloof person, so she doesn't realize that, like, no matter how many times, like, Tam, like, has lets it be known, it's clear as day to us, the obvious viewer, that, like, she doesn't fuck with Arisa. Arisa is still like, I don't understand it. She's having a bad day. Like, it's that sort of thing. Like, is she okay? Like, so, you know, so you have that little sign off thing that happens or whatever else, or that little thing that happens, and then in the lead up to this month's show, or today's show, they were doing some tags here and there, whatever else, and, like, one of those malfunction at a junction situations where somebody accidentally strikes one person, another person doesn't like it, and then it turns to a situation where like Arissa's like, all right, like I've tried for months to try to understand her, and I've given her benefit of the doubt. Like,
we just gonna have to run it.
We just have to run it. Like, yeah, and they didn't stay in
the
those
pre-match
terms,
promo. Like they were saying that they were seeking to understand each other's feelings through fighting in the ring. So I thought that was a really nice, easy way for me to jump in on it. Oh, okay. So like these people have this thing that one of them doesn't understand, the other one damn well understands it, and everybody else gets it, but it's only one way that this is going to be settled, and they're going to fight till the death and kick each other in the face as hard as they can till somebody gets it.
So I want to say it was one of the last two shows, or one of the last three shows. It's Mayu. Yeah, it was one of the last two shows of this because Mayu just came back on the 9th. So from one of those either the day show or the night show on the 9th this month, it's a trios match. It's Mayu and Arisa and it's and Tam, and at the end of the match, like Mayu has played peacekeeper between the two, and like that's kind of ironic because like a lot of this stuff is based off of in Stars, like they almost like they treat her like she's like they treat Mayu like she's freaking Tanahashi. Whereas like you're up here, we respect and idolize you, and like so much of what you do like gives us like reflects our self-esteem almost. Like she's straight up the sensei. I'm not even like playing, she's straight up the sensei. And like the fact that she is so loving to both of them almost equally, like really fucks with Tam, or Tam can't handle it. So like anytime like it seemingly is like being treated equal, like Tam takes it as like you don't love me. so basically they had a match. So basically at the end of this match, she kind of has to play peacekeeper and say, look man, don't start shit after this match. So then they stay apart and they don't actually touch. But we get to the match tonight or this morning, and I saw there was a main event heading in. I was like, I don't know if Arissa's ready for this. Like her match with Momo was kind of, even though it wasn't even like a 20-minute type of thing. It was like a 13-minute type of thing, and it was wrestled at a slow pace for some reason. So the match starts, and they're just like, the story is, Arissa is taller than her, and she has this like these long gangling limbs that go forever, and she clearly has some background as some type of martial artist because she's an incredible striker. And Arissa,
They showed her practicing her kicks during Tam's intro, where she was doing like the hook kick combo or whatever, and I think that's kind of like her finish.
Yeah. She calls it a Brazilian kick.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So from there, like the start of this match is that where like she is basically on the outside using her length and just outstriking Tam, and then Tam finally says, "Look, I've had about enough of this, enough of you and your long ass limbs." And then they get into a grapple, and she turns to a grapple fest on the mat, and then they start doing, start rolling. And then from there is a bunch of like, they're getting in out of submissions, and it's really cool and transition stuff. And it's not at a sprint pace like a lot of the Stardom matches are. It's more as like it's wrestled like a main event New Japan match,
right?
And then I can't remember what the escalating point was, but basically, she's had enough of her. Tam's had enough of Arissa and all this striking. So then she ends up working over her leg, and then she ends up slapping on like an inverted figure four. But the inverted figure four was so awesome because it looked like a dragon screw, like an inverted dragon screw leg whoop that turned into a inverted figure four leg. You're like, how the fuck? I've never seen.
I don't know what they were doing with that.
It was awesome though, right?
Yeah.
So. She fights to the ropes, gets to the ropes, and then, they end up outside, and I can't remember which was first or whatever. There's a spot where like they're both on the apron. Arissa gives her the double knees, and the thing with Tam is one of those like people that bridges out of pinfalls. So what I mean by that is like she's at the bottom, she's on shoulders on the mat, she gets covered and she literally like slides up and bridges out over somebody, and the crowd goes like, oh, to her feet, and people are like, oh, or whatever else, right? So she does it like the meteor double knee deals to her on the apron, and she literally slides underneath her, and then she picks her up and then Germans around the apron.
Yeah, I immediately was like, oh my god.
Yeah, so she's like, I never would have thought someone even thought of doing that. It was awesome looking. So got that. And then she does a dive onto her on the floor, from the top rope to the floor.
That was about the safest looking dive I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I mean she bumped her, she banged her knee kind of hard because Arisa was kind of close to the edge of the mat, so her knee clipped the floor instead of the mat. But whatever. But yeah, like that's not how they pretty much catch them like that in Korakuen Hall, or actually anywhere, because they can't. In some of the places that the venues are. The seats are so close to the ring that like they kind of have to use bodies as a barricade. So then, yeah, boxing out, literally boxing out fans. So from there, they end up where Arisa later in the match, Arisa ends up. They get back in the ring, they start kicking the hell out of each other with spin kicks, V triggers, running knees, or sorry, bicycle kicks, if we can call it, like. Tam has this move where it looks like the Claymore, like Drew McIntyre's Claymore, except it's a knee. Right. And it's fucking awesome. So they end up where Tam gets the advantage and goes up to the top rope. And Arisa gets to her feet, gets on top rope, and she gives her a fucking Ishii Shibata headbutt to her that staggers her and just leaves her ruined for a while. And I can't remember how they end up getting off the floor from there. I don't know if there was a suplex or whatever else, but no, actually she gives her gives her that, and then she basically like shoves her off, and she ends up like falling to the mat from the top turnbuckle to the floor. Then they get back in the ring, they keep kicking the shit at each other back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And as I said, Tam's a bridger. So in Stardom, a lot of the wrestlers, whether it's Mayu, whether it was Io, whether it's B, whether it's Konami and Tam, one of their big signature moves that they'll get pinfalls with occasionally, or actually is their finish, are bridging suplex pins. So hers is the tiger suplex. She hits her with a tiger suplex. She kicks. They continue fighting. We get to a point and they're kicking each other, shit at each other. They get to a point where Tam gets to a point where she's, instead of going for her normal dragon suplex bridge, after she kicked out the first one, she said, all right, I'm gonna escalate it. She goes to try to give her a straight jacket one. Arisa immediately goes into the ropes and hangs off. Is like, no, you're not doing that to me, because she knows if she gets with that, her ass is done.
Right.
So then, they continue going back and forth, and then eventually Arisa gets the top rope, hits that her kick off top rope. I think it's called a 1399. And then they keep trading. Big blow for big blow, and then Arisa eventually hits her with that Brazilian kick you were talking about, that question mark kick, I think is what they also call technically.
Yeah.
And then she pins her, and there's near falls and all that. There's tons of emotion. The crowd is going nuts. It was an amazing match, and then at the end, they're both down, laid out on the floor, and then Arisa reaches for Tam. And they both kind of get to their feet almost, or get onto their knees, and then they kind of she's finally sticks the hand out, because for so long she's kind of always stuck her hand out to Tam, and Tam never shaking her hand. And then they finally embrace each other to an extent, and then you see Tam yell something to her. You can't really tell what it was, but eventually, because it's end of the show, you're gonna do the sign off promo deal or whatever else. Arisa tells us that Tam said, "Don't you dare lose that belt to anyone else."
Yeah, because she's coming for it still. Yes. And I liked it. I thought it was the end of the match was the cutest thing I've ever seen. It was it was I respect you. It was all that.
Yes.
And it was just wow. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, I haven't had these negative vibes on my wrestling since I haven't watched Raw and SmackDown, and it was great to watch the show last week and then just drop in and watch this, and it's like, oh my god, it's simple stories, it's good wrestling. How can you fuck this up? It's literally impossible. But motherfuckers managed to do it. Like, you know, like Arisa, like where do you see Arisa going? Because, you know, I'm just looking at the roster and it's just like, if those two aren't some of the top people and they're putting on stuff like that, like this place must be loaded with talent.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the big match that they do when they will go for distance or whatever else, like that's typically saved for Quirk and Hall, right? Yeah. I mean, pretty much you might get one match that goes like probably like 15 minutes or so, like kind of how we got with or maybe even, you know, close to 20 minutes, like how we got in New York with Momo and Utami. But for the most part, like that big epic match like that, the Tam and Arissas, the Miko Satomura and Kairi Sanes, the Mai Iwatani and Io Shirai matches, those are saved for Quirk, generally speaking. But you know, but in lieu of that, every show just about, there's always a match, whether it's Hazuki in the high speed title going for basically 5 minutes of awesomeness, or now that we have the tag titles back, Utami and Momo wrestling whoever, I think you're always going to get good matches out of them, like it, you know, and like generally speaking, like the last 2 or 3 matches on any card, you're going to get your money's worth as far as you tuning in to watch. So I want to say, yeah, the night show, those June 9th shows, the day and night show. The night show was Konami versus B for the red title, because at this Korakuen show that just happened this morning, it's a tag match of Mayu and Starlight versus Azumi and B. Because it's kind of like, yeah, you know what it is, like, okay, like we have two top stars. We don't want to beat either one of them. But put them in tag matches and we'll beat one of these teenagers. Yeah. We'll beat one of these teenagers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's another thing I enjoy about Stardom is like when they have a tag match, you can look at the lineup and tell, like, if you've watched Stardom for like 5 minutes or for like 1 or 2 shows, you know immediately after like seeing the lineup below, like, okay, that's the pin eater, and
so who's gonna get it?
Right, and they wrestle to the standard of like they're trying to keep the weak link out or hidden or whatever else, or they're trying to expose the weak link at different times, and it makes for interesting ring psychology. But back to the night show from June 9th. In the day show, they were in a multi-one match. B and Konami, and Konami slaps on the Triangle Lancer for a short amount of time. She didn't escape. Like someone broke it up to stop her from tapping out. So she shows up to the night show, taped up, arm taped up, not her neck, even though the Triangle Lancer is a neck crank, but arms taped up. So I'm thinking like, okay, they screwed with psychology. It's a neck crank, not an arm thing. It just looks like an arm thing. Whatever. They get into the match, and Konami, who's trained by Asuka, a submission specialist and striker, does nothing but work over that arm, and that match is not that level of what we saw between Arisa and Tam, but like it's a 4-star match, and it's just fun as hell to watch. And you're just like,
you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, and it's funny because I said to you off air before we started this earlier, like I am subscribed to WWE's YouTube channel, and I was looking at something else, and I saw that like they put up an Alexa Bliss and Mickey James pay-per-view match from, I don't know, last year, 2 years ago,
like 2017.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I thought to myself like, like I can't. That's what you're putting up, and the thing is, like, for me, is like, you can't even say that like, oh, they don't have the rest to do it. They have 2 of the best people ever in Stardom in the company, and one of them hasn't wrestled on TV in a month. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's really
sigh.
it's like y'all, and there's so many of them that have done tours in Stardom too, and it's always like okay, all right. Like y'all want to, that's what y'all want to do, okay? Like I'll gladly just watch high speed title matches and watch 5 minutes of nonstop action.
Yeah, and it's just the overexposure of Shane McMahon and the wild card rule has really done a number on these shows, and just reading the results and everything like that. It's like 2 Monday Night Raws rather than SmackDown having this its own feel, which regularly kicked Raw's ass like 30 times out of 40 essentially. Like
yeah, pretty much.
So like if we were still doing that now, it'd just be like, yo, this I don't like they both lost. Like that's what it would be.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is like hopefully if let's say you're disillusioned with the WWE main roster product, I hope they hear me like with passion talk about Stardom or whatever else, or AEW or New Japan and all the other stuff we talk about that pops up here and there. Like it ain't like if you're somebody that's kind of like in that bubble of like I don't really
like afraid to try it or like just
like I hope that this gives you an influence. Like all right, like I can take a back step if you're hesitant. Because like that's your you've always been in WWE and WWE is your thing, but like the product's not really like satisfying you in the way that it used to, or in the ways that you think it should. I suggest try this other stuff out that we've suggested, and you think and you hear us kind of talk passionately about, and like try it out. And if it's something that you like, then that's just another like resource for you, an avenue for you to go about as far as like getting your fix of fake fighting. So, for me, between all the stuff we do, like I feel like eventually over time what's going to do is like, because there's so much wrestling around the world, I can like now be the person that how I used to just cherry pick only takeovers. Now I can be the person that like I can use that and cherry pick the main roster. So then like when I'm only watching like the good stuff on the main roster, I can feel more positive about the main roster because I'm not watching like the stuff that quite frankly is a money grab because they want to go get the third hour and there's 2 live shows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like hopefully like this approach is over the long run will make me like even more positive about WWE, even though like right now they seem to be storytelling wise broken. Like I can spend less time with their bad stories and focus on like the AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins matches of the world, the Charlotte and Becky matches of the world, like the Andrades and Finn Balor's, the
Corbin and Seth, Lacey and Becky.
You get my point though. Like
Drew and Roman and
oh my god. Okay. What they used to say to people when they're going through a hard workout? Pain is only temporary.
Yes.
This pain is only temporary. Like, what about when we get to SummerSlam? Like, I'm sure they won't be doing that kind of nonsense.
All right.
At least let me say that. Let's say I hope. I'm gonna phrase from I'm sure. Let's say I hope. Let's say I hope.
Be blown, bitch. But anyway, I think that is a good place to wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening to One Nation Radio here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Make sure you are checking out all our other shows here on the network. Of course, One Nation Radio on Sundays. James, you got something to add real quick?
Yeah, I meant to ask you. I didn't ask you before we wrap this up. So, what do you end up in your mind? What do you end up rating the Tam and Arisa match?
I would probably say it was 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
Yeah.
I had it at 4 3/4.
Yeah. So I would check it out, folks. Like it's less than WWE Network per month. If there's there are other ways to get it as well, but.
You dumb.
y'all already know how to do it, I'm sure, so you don't need my assistance on that. But
Ross ain't finna come shut down this podcast.
I'm telling you, OJ not coming, Cody not showing up with the dog, this is our house. So One Nation Radio on Sundays. Make sure you check out Keeping It Strong Style on Tuesdays. Wednesdays we got the Ricky and Clive wrestling show as well as Grown Men Watch This Shit. We got NXT Then Now Forever on Fridays or Thursdays, whenever James gets it up. We got Get in the Ring with Danny and Beast Mike, bringing the great energy. And we've got Saturdays with Floyd Johnson on All Things Elite. Make sure you guys are checking out Powerslam.tv, our sponsor. You already know how the spiel works. But, it's going to be an exciting time. G1's coming, and I got lots of time to watch wrestling on Monday and Tuesday nights. So, prepare for One Nation Radio to kind of go in a different direction, like over the next however long. But hopefully you guys will still enjoy it. But James, you got anything to add before we roll the fuck up on out?
No. I think I got everything I needed to say out.
So, match suggestion for you guys, AAA, there's a lucha match this week between El Hijo de Vikingo versus the Laredo Kid. Insane match. That's all I'll say. You can find it right on YouTube. And it was AAA. And apparently we just got news that the Lucha Bros had defeated the Young Bucks for the AAA tag team titles. So pretty much after, people may have been disillusioned by the Young Bucks getting that win at Double or Nothing, they went back to Mexico, I assumed, and just put them over to a raucous reaction, I would imagine. But that's gonna wrap it up. We up out of here. Peace.